Hello and welcome to Docual. Today we're discussing the case of a woman who killed her own hitman. As always, if you like our content, please like and subscribe. Susan Walters was born in 1955. By 1988, she was a successful nurse specializing in emergency room care. However, she was looking for love, and so she reached out to a dating agency. 2 weeks after posting her personal ad, she was contacted by 40-year-old recent divorcee and father of two, Michael Kuhnhausen. Michael was a Vietnam veteran and now worked as a janitorial supervisor at an adult video store. After 5 months of dating, Michael moved into Susan's home, and on the 10th of December, 1988, they got married in Reno, Nevada. Things were good for a few years. However, cracks in the relationship became noticeable for them. Susan began being questioned about her spending habits by Michael. This had never been an issue in the past. Susan earned significantly more money than Michael, and naturally, because of this, Susan didn't appreciate the attempt from Michael to dictate her spending. Michael was becoming increasingly more angry, having explosive outbursts directed at Susan. This being attributed by Michael as a response to the trauma he experienced while serving in Vietnam. However, Susan dug into Michael's military history, and it was revealed that Michael had never actually been in active combat like he claimed, but instead had a desk job during the conflict. Things obviously were not adding up. Their relationship continued to deteriorate, with Susan giving Michael an ultimatum: go to counseling and get help, or we will get a divorce. By 2005, very little had changed in their marriage, and so Susan trialed a separation in preparation for divorce with Michael, who moved in with his father. During this time, they attempted to work on their marriage and keep an amicable relationship. They attended family events and outwardly appeared that things were normal as they could be. While separated from Michael, Susan noticed she was happier and she was enjoying life much more without his negative influence and outbursts. And so she requested a divorce in summer of 2006. This would be the catalyst that set into motion the terrifying ordeal that Susan would go through. At around 6 p.m. on September 6, 2006, Susan returned home after her shift at work. She needed to pack as she was traveling to a nursing convention out of town. She had asked Michael to house sit while she was gone, so she was expecting him to be at the house when she arrived, as he had his own house key and passcode to the alarm system. However, he was nowhere to be found. Instead, she found a note stating, "Sue, I haven't been sleeping. Had to get away. Went to the beach." And so Susan assumed that he would not be house-sitting. Continuing her routine, she walked out of her house to get her mail. Once she re-entered the house, she went towards her bedroom. However, immediately she sensed something was very strange. Through opening the bedroom door, she saw her bedroom curtains were closed. It was her daily routine to open them, and she remembered doing so that morning. Susan continued into her bedroom. She walked inside and was immediately jumped upon by a large man who had been hidden behind her bedroom door. He was wearing a baseball cap, a striped shirt, slacks, and a pair of yellow rubber kitchen gloves. He wielded a red and black claw hammer, which he raised in the air and struck Susan several times in quick succession. Susan knew she had to fight back or she would be killed. She later stated, "If I died, I wanted it to be known I had fought to live." During the ensuing struggle, her assailant told Susan she was very strong. This would be the only thing he would say to her. During the struggle, she bit him in the arm and leg, both to harm him and as a way to link him to her murder by leaving her dental record embedded in him. The man dropped the hammer in agony, which then began a frantic struggle to fight over the hammer. Susan was victorious, hitting him several times in the head with it. She took this opportunity and climbed on top of her assailant, pinning him to the ground. She put the man into a chokehold, yelling, "Tell me who sent you and I will call a fucking ambulance." She would not receive an answer, continuing to choke her assailant until his face turned purple. At this point, she let go, moving to escape her home and get help. The man was able to recover quickly enough to catch up to her in the hallway and began punching her in the face. The struggle began again, and once again, Susan gained the advantage, pinning her assailant and putting him into another chokehold, not stopping until he stopped moving. Susan then grabbed the hammer and ran to her neighbor's house, where they then called the police. What did she use on him? She strangled him? What else did she do? She put a chokehold on him. "I've got help on the way. Stay on the line. She has a hammer here. Don't touch it, don't touch it. Just leave it there." She hit him in the head several times. That's the hammer he had with him. She struck him and she strangled him. She thinks he's dead. Was he by himself? Did he have anybody with him? No. She expressed concern it may have been her ex-partner who sent the person. Have there been problems with her ex-husband or her ex-partner? She did talk to Mike, her ex-partner, and asked him to house sit for the cats. He said he couldn't do it. He was on his way to the beach. He left her a note. He knows the alarm. Okay, that's good information to pass on to the officers. When police arrived in her home, they found the would-be assassin deceased in her hallway. His wallet was found in his pocket, revealing him to be 59-year-old Edward Dalton Haffey. At a later autopsy, it was found he had a near-lethal level of cocaine in his system. The first assumption by police was that it was a burglary. However, no sign of forced entry was found. Susan suspected her husband to be behind it, as he was the only other person to have a key to her home. The day after the attack, Susan went back to her home with a friend to pack a bag. While there, they noticed a backpack in her basement that did not belong to her, which was not noticed previously due to the amount of clutter. Inside, they found a container of Hershey's syrup, $200, diabetes pills, a day planner, and a pay stub made out to Haffey from the same adult store Michael worked at. Inside the planner, on September 4th, 2006, 2 days before the attack, was marked "Call Mike." In this page, a manila envelope was found, within which was Mike's new phone number. Just a little information about Edward Dalton Haffey. He was born in 1947 and grew up in an upper middle class home. He was also a Vietnam veteran. 15 years earlier, on February 8th, 1991, Haffey arranged the murder of his ex-girlfriend, 39-year-old Georgia Lee Dutton. Her decomposed body was found in the Umpqua River near Roseburg, Oregon. His plan was discovered and he pled guilty on March 14, 1994. He spent 9 years in Eastern Oregon Correctional Institution and was released on November 3, 2003. He then moved to Portland and got a job in July 2004 with Michael Kuhnhausen at the adult video store. As police continued their investigation, they were able to confirm Susan's suspicions that it was in fact her husband that was behind her attempted murder. At the time of the attack, Michael was at Lincoln City Inn on the coast of Oregon, at the beach, like he said. He had returned to Portland that night, and the following day he purchased a Taurus Magnum revolver at a pawn shop for $339. On September 8th, 2006, 2 days after the attempted murder of Susan, Mike left a suicide note at his father's house, the contents of which read, "All I ever wanted was to be loved, and every time I fucked it up." At this point, Michael fled and an APB was put out by police. The search for him began. At 10 a.m. on September 13th, 2006, a Clackamas County Sheriff deputy caught up with Mike in the parking garage of a Kaiser Sunnyside Medical Center, where He claimed to be checking himself in. He was then sectioned by the hospital as they suspected he was about to attempt suicide. 11 hours later, Michael was arrested by police. Am I under arrest? At this point you are, so what I'd like to do is re-advise you of your Miranda rights. You're not going to believe my side of the story. Why is that? We haven't heard your side of the story. My side of the story is so fucking off the wall. When Michael was booked into jail, he denied all connection to Haffey. When police provided him with evidence proving they had worked together, he quickly changed his story, stating, "I didn't do it. Just because I know the guy doesn't mean I did anything." Police knew there had to be more to the story. They knew someone had disabled the alarm while Susan was at work, allowing Haffey inside to prepare for Susan's return home. However, Mike denied this, saying he had only dropped the note off about going to the beach. On the 18th of September, a former cellmate of Haffey's contacted the police, saying Haffey had asked him to join a burglary as an insurance scam. They both met with a man he would later identify as Michael Kuhnhausen, who told him he would pay him $5,000 if he helped Haffey kill Susan. The former cellmate declined the offer. At the time of the attempted murder, Michael had lost his job and was homeless, no longer living with his father. He was aware Susan had named her brother as the primary beneficiary on her life insurance policy. However, he was still the beneficiary of her house if she died. Police suspected this was one of the reasons he wanted Susan dead, although he has never confirmed or admitted to the actual reason behind Susan's attempted murder. On August 30th, 2007, facing overwhelming evidence, he pled guilty to conspiracy to commit murder. Due to a plea deal made, he was only sentenced to 10 years, which was reduced to 8 years due to good behavior following an appeal. Michael, however, would never know freedom again, as on the 13th of June, 2014, 92 days before his planned release, he would die from prostate cancer. Susan survived her ordeal, but the fear she felt lasted long afterwards, seeding into her daily life. She would move from her home into one surrounded by gravel paths, so she would be able to hear anyone approaching her home. She took firearms training. If at a restaurant, she would always sit facing towards the entrance. And if driving, she would sometimes take different routes to her destinations or drive in loops to ensure she was not being followed. She would also take out and win a $1 million lawsuit against Michael for emotional distress. She explained that she did this to ensure he would not have the funds to try this again. In 2008, the Portland Police Bureau would award Susan with the Civilian's Medal of Heroism for her sheer determination to survive. However, Susan struggled with this perceived image given to her by the general public, that she was a hero. She didn't believe she deserved praise for killing a man. However, her boss has been quoted as saying, "They're not calling you a hero because you killed a man. They're calling you a hero because they want to believe, given the same circumstances, they too might survive." Since her attempted murder, Susan has been heavily involved with victim advocacy, working closely with justice organizations based in Portland. All of these organizations work to provide support to victims of crimes, including self-defense and advice. In 2017, Susan worked with the Multnomah County District's Office to create Case Companion. This free website is dedicated to giving support to victims of crimes. It can be used to answer questions about the justice system, what to expect during proceedings, and provides online resources for victims to access. It also provides victims access to their offenders' court dates, sentencing details, and release information, all in one place. This ensures that the difficult process that victims go through to seek justice is made just a little bit less daunting. Thank you everyone for joining me today as we discussed the case of Susan Walters, the woman who killed her hitman. Once again, if you like our content and you want to see more, please feel free to like and subscribe. See you next time.